There are mysteries that history books cannot explain. A colony once full of life, families, laughter, hope for the future. And then silence. No bodies, no signs of struggle, no graves. It was as if every man, woman, and child had been erased. The only clue left behind, a single word carved into wood. Not an explanation, not a farewell. A riddle, a warning. The journey begins. In 1587, when more than 100 men, women, and children left England to begin a new life across the sea. Their voyage was long and uncertain. For weeks, they lived on salted meat and hard biscuits, the ship groaning under the weight of wind and wave. Mothers tried to hush their children, fathers worked to keep spirits high, and all of them dreamed of the day they would see land again. At last, in July of that year, the weary travelers spotted the faint outline of trees along the horizon. Birds circled overhead, and the salty air carried the scent of land. It was Roanoke Island, off the coast of what we now call North Carolina. Relief swept through the settlers. They had reached their new home. But relief did not last long. When they stepped ashore, they found the remains of an earlier English fort, abandoned years before. Its walls were weathered, its houses broken, the pathways choked with weeds. The island was silent. Too silent, as though time had swallowed what had once been alive. Some whispered that the place felt cursed, yet there was no turning back. This was the land they had been given, and this was where they would begin again. The settlers worked quickly. They repaired the fort, raised wooden houses, and cleared fields for planting. The work was hard, but they clung to hope. Their leader, John White, was a careful man, not a soldier, but an artist. He sketched what he saw, the forests, the animals, the faces of people they met. He had come not only as governor, but also with his daughter Eleanor and her husband. Before long, Eleanor gave birth to a baby girl. The child was named Virginia Dare. She was the first English child born in the New World, and her arrival was celebrated as a sign that the colony could truly have a future. For a brief time, her cries brought joy. It seemed to the weary settlers that their dream might still come true. But the land had other plans. Roanoke's soil was sandy and thin. Crops withered before they could yield. Hunting was unpredictable, and fishing brought back less than expected. The ocean that had carried them to this place now trapped them here, cutting them off from help. Some local tribes were willing to trade, offering food and knowledge, but others viewed the settlers with suspicion, keeping their distance or responding with hostility. As weeks turned into months, supplies ran dangerously low. Tools broke, hunger grew, fear began to spread among the families. Something had to be done. The colonists gathered and looked to their governor, John White. They begged him to return to England for supplies. White hesitated. To leave meant abandoning his family, including his newborn granddaughter. But he knew they could not survive otherwise. With a heavy heart, he agreed. Before he left, the settlers made him promise he would come back quickly. He assured them he would. Then he set sail, leaving behind a colony full of hope, worry, and waiting. But across the ocean, fate had other plans. When White returned to England, he expected to sail back soon. Instead, he found his country on the brink of war. Spain had sent its mighty armada against England, and every ship was needed. White pleaded to return, but months slipped into years. He was forced to wait while his family, his friends, and his colony waited on the other side of the ocean. 3 years passed. Imagine those families on Roanoke, watching the horizon, waiting for sails that never appeared. Day after day, food must have grown scarcer, fear sharper. Did they argue? Did they try to move inland? Did they seek refuge with the Croatoan tribe, who had once shown friendship? The records are silent, leaving only questions. At last, in 1590, John White secured passage and made the long voyage back. He must have dreamed of his return, of holding his granddaughter, now 3 years old, of being welcomed by the settlers he had left behind. But those dreams would soon collapse. And this is where the story takes a darker turn. The settlement was empty. The houses had been dismantled, as though taken down piece by piece. The fort stood quiet, abandoned. There were no voices, no fires, no signs of life. More chilling still, there were no bodies, no graves, no broken weapons or blood to suggest an attack. It was as if the colonists had simply walked away. The only clue lay carved into wood. On one post was etched a single word, Croatoan. On a nearby tree, the letters CRO. White believed this was a message. Perhaps the settlers had moved to Croatoan Island, about 50 miles away, where a friendly tribe lived. He wanted to search, but a storm was rising. His ships were damaged, his crew unwilling to risk further travel. He was forced to leave, never knowing what had become of his family or the colony he had led. The mystery of Roanoke was born that day. Over the centuries, many theories have risen, none certain. Some historians believe the colonists went to live with the Croatoan people, who inhabited nearby Hatteras Island. This theory fits neatly with the carvings left behind. Friendly ties had existed between the Croatoans and the English, and survival may have pushed the settlers to seek safety among them. Generations later, reports surfaced of native families with gray eyes and lighter features, fueling the belief that English bloodlines had mixed with the tribe. Others argue that the colonists never had the chance to find such refuge. They may have been attacked and killed by hostile tribes who saw them as trespassers. Relations between the settlers and certain groups had soured quickly, and without allies, the small colony would have been vulnerable. Yet no mass graves or clear evidence of such a conflict has ever been found. Another theory is more desperate, that the colonists simply starved or scattered. The land was harsh, food was unreliable, and John White's promised return never came. Perhaps families broke apart, some venturing inland, others trying to survive along the coast. If so, their traces would have been easily lost to time, leaving behind little more than abandoned houses. Some suggest that the mystery was not caused by nature at all, but by Spain, England's enemy at the time. The Spanish already had colonies in Florida and feared English expansion into their territory. Could Spanish soldiers have wiped out the Roanoke settlers in secret, destroying the colony before it could grow? If so, they left behind no records of it. And then there are stranger tales. Whispers of curses, of supernatural forces haunting the island. Some storytellers claim that the word Croatoan was not a destination, but a warning, carved in fear. Legends grew that the land itself had swallowed the colonists, or that something lurking in the forests and swamps claimed them one by one. Though historians dismiss such stories, they linger because no ordinary explanation has ever been proven. Bits of evidence have surfaced from time to time, each one adding to the puzzle, but never completing it. Explorers wrote of native groups speaking fragments of broken English, though these accounts are debated. Artifacts such as pottery shards and European-style tools have been uncovered far from the original settlement, suggesting that some survivors may have moved inland or lived among other tribes. In 1998, archaeologists discovered a slate tablet, now known as one of the Dare Stones, with carvings that seem to describe the fate of the colony. But many believe these stones were hoaxes from a later era. And so the mystery endures. The people of Roanoke had crossed an ocean with hope in their hearts. They built homes, planted fields, and gave birth to a child they believed was the beginning of a new future. But instead of a thriving village, they left behind silence. Instead of a legacy, they became a riddle. More than 400 years later, their fate remains unknown. No letters were ever found, no journals left behind. No voices carried forward to explain what became of them. Their story ends in silence. No one knows if they lived, if they died, or if they slowly faded into the wilderness. What is certain is this: an entire colony, men, women, and children, vanished without a trace. And all that remains of them is a single word, carved into wood, left like a riddle for future generations. A word that has echoed across centuries, unsettling every ear that hears it. Croatoan. Even today, people remain fascinated by the lost colony. Historians, archaeologists, and curious minds still search for answers. Theories are tested, evidence is unearthed, and stories are retold. Yet the truth remains just out of reach, always slipping back into shadow. The lost colony of Roanoke is more than just a mystery. It's a shadow that still clings to history. The people are gone, but their silence remains, unsettling and unanswered. For centuries, no one has uncovered the truth. Some say they survived. Others say they were destroyed. And some whisper that the island itself took them. But what about you? What do you believe? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your theory might be closer to the truth than you think. And if stories like this send a chill down your spine, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Because the past doesn't just haunt the places it touched. It haunts the ones who remember it.